Transcription number 223. Now, I have described in another place at great length the way promotions are made, and one of my colleagues on this side yesterday appeared either to have read that statement or in another way has placed uh, before the house, not on behalf of the government. Much of the material that I would have deal with. But here what I want to point out is that these elections are done by well established procedures which have been there for many years and have not been altered. In regard to the bulk of the officers, there are complaints from some quarters that perhaps government ought to look more into it. That is to say, it is not a question of too much interference but of too little interference with regard to the lower levels. But since that point has not been raised, I do not want to raise this problem myself, but with regard to the higher ranks of the army, it is done by number one selection board, as was pointed out, from colonels up to major generals, where where nine officers sit. That it is the chief of the army staff, his deputy, three army commanders, and four principal staff officers. They mark these people separately on separate papers and discuss them, and in the net result of that discussion the differences are ironed out. Besides examination of their records, the personal knowledge of these officers by their present or previous commanders who would be sitting round the table would be taken into account. Then it comes to the government, and the government, that is the defense ministry, examines them so far as they can from the papers, that is to say whether the conclusions are warranted by the premises supplied by the books, and then it is put up before the minister after discussion in the ministry itself as to the pros and cons of this matter. Normally, the recommendations that come from the army headquarters are accepted, and neither in the case that is now spoken about nor in anything else have these recommendations been turned down. Although I know that observation, I would like to make it clear on behalf of the government that the government have the right to turn down these recommendations because the services are under civilian control. It would be a bad day when the government responsible to parliament cannot have the last word in this matter, because it is not merely a question of a soldier being efficient. There may be other matter to be taken into consideration. I am happy to think that no personalities have been introduced, because if the minister were to pursue the same line as those of the critics and drag the officer in, it would not be in his interest. When we go round to the question of seniorities and supersessions, I would like to say that so far as the lower levels are concerned. That is to say, up to the rank of lieutenant colonel, the proportions of selections have remained much the same. There is a variation of 2 or 3% each year over the last 5 or 6 years, but it is more or less a mechanical process. When we come to the selection of Lieutenant General in the Indian Army, it is done not by the selection boards. This is done on the recommendations of the Chief of the Army Staff. The Prime Minister offered in the other house on a previous occasion for them to come and see the paper, rather unusual, but he, as the head of the government, is free to do so. While the offer was open, no one turned up. One person asked to come, and we arranged it, but nothing happened. In any case, a lieutenant general is appointed by government on the recommendation of the chief of the army staff. The same process goes through because while there is no selection board, the chief of the army staff by convention consults the army commanders, which is a sort of a selection board of a smaller type. That recommendation comes before us, and within the available people, those who have the minimum qualification come first. Those who have good record, particularly outstanding qualities. I would like again to say that we are playing upon words. There is no supersession, they are selection appointments. If you take the British Army today, the chief of the Imperial General Staff is a person who has been suppressed twice before, but he comes up again. In my experience, there has been no appointment to these offices which has not been recommended in this way, and it is the good fortune of the government that they have been able to accept it. There has been some disturbance with regard to the recent appointment of army commanders. Army commanders by convention have been appointed by government even without reference to the chief of staff by selection of 2 or 3 people. But in this case, discussions and consultations have taken place, and I am quite free to say that there is nothing in this appointment which merits criticism. 858 words. Let's stop.